All right, Val, we're back.
We're back, Chad.
We're back, Chad. All this noise, a lot of noise.
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff today.
Some good noise.
I think so. I think it's always good noise, I'd like to say, but today...
Oh, just wait till we have the first bad noise episode, and we will let you know. And that guest is going to be mortified.
Oh, God. Well, thankfully, that day is not today.
Good.
We had a great guest, and her name is Kah-Lo.
Yes.
And she is awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome. And I think I'll say this later on in the interview as well, but I was so excited to have her be our guest today because I didn't even realize until I was preparing for the interview how long I've been listening to her voice as a vocalist. She has such a unique and amazing voice, and she also has an amazing personality too.
Definitely. Yeah, super fun, just conversation in general. She's interesting, a lot of amazing influences that you can hear in her work. We were lucky enough to hear the album. We'll talk about it a little bit. It's
her upcoming album, Pain Pleasure. Great name.
Yeah, and also, she made her breakthrough with that song Rinse and Repeat.
With Riton.
And so many of those listening may know her from that, but just a really unique artist who has like so much to like draw from when you listen to her catalog. So for me, it was really nice to get to know her through this process and get familiar with her work because it's super great.
I agree. I mean, we talk a lot about her various musical influences that range from Nigerian artists to like bands that we listen to and how it all influences her new music. And I also just appreciate when people make fun music just consistently. And I feel like that's so true with her. She is, and when you talk to her, you can tell where it's coming from because she's just like a fun person to the core, even when she's talking about things that are hard and challenges and emotions. So yeah, it was just really fun to get to know her.
It was great. And one theme that may be recurring on this is just hearing how people kind of came out of COVID, and she had a lot of growth and came out swinging, and it was really cool to hear that. For me, I thought that was really relatable.
Yes.
But yeah, All This Noise with Kah-Lo coming up.
Enjoy.
All this noise.
I'm not so much a gym rat now, but I was a gym rat for a very, very long time. So I know all the, spotting, form, all that stuff. I know everything.
Yeah.
Right? Because I would go to the club. This was my past. In my past.
In your past.
Not currently.
Not currently. Please do not hit me up to go to the gym at any time before noon.
Okay,
It will not happen.
Yes.
I can barely get myself there.
Yes.
Now.
Which sounds like a normal thing, but you used to do something.
I used to. So I would go to the club, turn up, come back home, say 2, 3 a.m., 6 a.m. on the bridge. We're running 3 miles. 3 miles. We come back. We go to the gym. And then
after you run.
Then you get lunch. And then you go to bed a little bit. And then you do it again. Yeah.
That's
so
the
this
craziest...
was the real rinse and repeat.
Yeah, so that was my longest streak was 17 days.
What?
Of just back to back.
What?
And then I went to Ghana in the middle of it. And then I came back home and I did it again. Yeah, my parents weren't happy. But I survived.
Oh my God.
Got a lot of great songs about it. Literally, I think I have like 5 songs that are out just about this specific time in my life.
And you probably were in the best shape of your life.
Oh, I was in great shape. My cardiovascular fitness on 10.
That is
the
the craziest
So now
I've ever
this has
heard.
influenced your music in a way?
Yeah, so now I have me and Bill and Ted because they're also on a gym wave right now. Shout out Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
So we were like, you know what? Let's just write a gym anthem. Because, as you guys probably know, a lot of my songs are gym friendly. They're treadmill friendly.
Definitely activity movement
friendly.
friendly.
I do a treadmill test for most of my songs. So I'm like, you know what? Let's make a gym song because I don't have a lot of party experiences to write about.
Anymore.
Anymore. Right now. Right?
Wait, so people give it the car test, but you give it the treadmill test?
I give it the treadmill test because I'm like, if I can't run to it, even if it's slow.
Yeah.
Because there's some slow songs you can run to. When the heart rate's coming down.
Yeah.
And then you
take the breather.
High intensive interval, baby. Come on.
I mean, I listen to podcasts, so I mean, anything with a beat would be extreme.
That's so funny.
We're just like, you know what? Let's just write a gym anthem.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just all the gym references I could fit in 3 minutes.
Is there a gym lyric that you're particularly proud of?
Geez.
That you can think of?
I am proud of, I kid you not, every bar. Because I don't know how In Here was able to write 3 minutes of gym.
See, that's a good way to just make sure you listen to the single.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, I like
Just
every
make sure
bar,
you
so
listen.
if you want to hear it, you gotta
Like, literally, if you feel like your heart rate is coming down, I'm going to sound like a Peloton instructor. Where's the camera? If you feel like the heart rate is coming down and you cannot continue, you have no will to continue, I want you to put this song on. You will have 3 minutes of sprint time.
Oh,
sprint. Just get that heart rate climbing up. Yeah.
I just had the vision,
do
literally,
it.
of you on the Peloton with the lights in the background. Like that was your Peloton instructor
Yeah,
moment.
if you were just watching that on YouTube, we're gonna put it right in the description right here. So, here's the song, link to the song.
Sponsored by.
Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, because we just went crazy, and we were like, it might come out very corny, or it might be the best thing we've done, and I think it falls into the latter.
It's in the latter category.
I can't wait.
I love
That's
that.
gonna be amazing.
Yeah.
Kind of want to ask you about your style, because I think your style is awesome, and all the hairstyles you rock. So can you what do you go through when you're trying to figure out your next hairstyle, your outfits?
Okay.
Walk me through.
Okay, so it is a whole process.
Oh,
and I love that you have asked me this question, because
Okay,
I've been
good.
meaning to talk about it for a long time. So I have about 12-ish, 14 wigs.
Okay.
Yeah, so it depends on the day and
Yes.
the errand and the activity.
Of course.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's like, are we going bombshell today? Are we going Edna mode? Where are we going today? So then the wig determines the fit.
Right.
Right? So if it should be the activity determine the fit, but the wig, it starts from the wig. Right?
Incredible.
And then we work top down,
Yeah.
because then I don't play with my makeup also. So we do the face, we do the lips, and then shoes are last. I just developed an obsession with shoes.
So it sounds like you really go from top to bottom.
Top to
essentially.
bottom, yes,
Wow.
yes. And
Respect.
I had like a style renaissance about 2 years ago. Like at the end of COVID, I was just like, oh my God, I used to say I'm going to dress like this when I grow up, but I've grown up.
Okay, wait. So what did you think you were gonna dress like, and versus now?
So I used to want to dress a lot more like sophisticated, like more feminine, you know, but I was still in like, you know, Doc Martens and vinyl pants all the time, you know, and just like bandanas and all that stuff. But then I was like watching YouTube and I was like, God, I want to dress like that. And then I was like, hello, we're here. This is around when you start. So I literally I gave away like half my wardrobe. The Real became my best friend. And I just like, oh, this is thrifted. This is $4.
Very cute.
So lots of thrifting because we love the planet in here. So yeah, so I just started going crazy and just like experimenting, because I like to play with like mask and femme silhouettes. So it depends on the day and the wig.
I hope that there's a photo of your collection of wigs out there, because I would love to see.
Did you have trouble parting with the clothes, the wardrobe? Are you sentimental in that way?
A little bit, in that, like, I remember when I realized I was sentimental about clothes was when my Doc Martens, I wear Doc Martens for like every show. I've never done a show without them. And then, because they're so comfortable and I can rage and not sprain my ankle.
Right.
Yeah.
I call them grave stompers.
Yeah.
Grave
Yeah. They're
stompers.
so
That's
good.
I like that.
And then I had worn them so much, because I think I played like 80 shows or something crazy. They had got like a rip in the crease because I wasn't using like the leather conditioner and everything.
Oh.
And then I had to give them away, because they have like this exchange program you can do. And like, you know, when you want to get a new pair, you get some credit.
Oh, interesting.
And then they were taking them, and then someone like you comes on, Adele, and I just started crying in the middle of the store, because I'm like, all the memories I had in these boots.
I actually relate to that so much, because I get so sentimental about. I'm a stuff girl.
Yeah.
I'm a tchotchke. Like, I love buying little tchotchke
all over the
things when
house.
I travel. Yes.
Yeah.
And so I get really sentimental about clothes with a lot of memories and stuff. So I I fully understand crying.
And I've
Horrible.
cried listening to Adele's "Someone Like You"
Yeah,
as well. And
so-
I'm actually not kidding. I straight up bawled one time when
See?
I heard that
Now
song.
imagine you're letting go of your shoes that has all your memories.
It has.
And
I
the
get it.
attendant, bless his heart, he was like, you know what? I'll give you a minute.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. That's so. That's
Yeah.
so.
He's
That's
like,
so sweet.
I get it.
You know,
Yeah.
I
get it.
totally can relate. I went through the same. It wasn't much of a renaissance, but it was like a soft reboot of like my
just
wardrobe.
yeah.
You know, I was like, I gotta just have a couple chains. You know, like it's just a
Exactly.
nice
Okay, yeah.
accent. You know, and then I was
Yeah.
like, I don't need so many screen printed tees. Like I'm not
Exactly.
22 anymore. I'm not 12 anymore. You know, I've been
Yeah.
dressing the same way.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. I was like, I've been dressing the same way, and I always used to say, I'm gonna dress like this when I grow up.
Right.
I'm gonna, but I was like, okay, I think it's time.
Well, good on
And
you
I
for
just-
that.
That's what I
Big
call
reshuffling.
growth. I'm
Yeah.
proud of
Yeah.
both
Growth.
of you.
Oh,
I'm
Thank
proud of
you.
both of
I
you.
think COVID was like that time where we're like, yeah, if I'm
Yeah.
going back out there, I ain't
Yeah,
doing
they
it
said
the
we
same.
outside. We can't go outside
Yeah,
the
you
same
look at yourself
person.
a little different, I think,
Yeah,
after that.
yeah,
Oh my
so-
gosh.
Great.
That's so
It was
amazing.
definitely a whole. Now, sometimes I want to show a little leg.
Well, welcome to Los Angeles and
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome to All This Noise.
all this noise.
This is
Thank you.
This is our podcast that we like to say is a music podcast by people who love music for people who love music.
Love
Mhm.
that. Love
So
that motto.
I'm super happy to have you. It's my first time meeting you, and the funniest thing for me when we were talking about setting this up was that I didn't even realize that I've been listening to your voice for so long.
Oh, wow.
And I've
Yeah.
known of you as an artist, so I'm so excited to like actually have a chance to sit down and hear about your journey and all that. But like Rinse and Repeat was the song for me when that came out.
Yeah.
So it's so exciting to have you, and I'm glad to like
Thank
meet you at
you.
this point in your career where there's like so much exciting stuff to talk about.
Yes.
Yeah. So how are you feeling?
Let's
You know,
go.
you're in LA. You told me you're working on some music and lots of
Yeah.
exciting announcements coming out right about now, right?
Yeah, yep. I finished my album. It was a lot of release to get that out.
Yeah.
And then so I only just started writing new music like in the past few weeks because unfortunately my dad passed in December.
I'm so sorry to
sorry.
hear.
So it was very tough because it's like I like you've listened to my stuff. It's like a lot of party,
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
turn up, death. So
Yeah.
it was like a little tough for me to try to figure out what to write about now.
Of course.
So that took me a minute. So I wasn't even I made a deliberate decision to like not write songs because every time I would try, it would just be like grief related.
Yeah.
Mhm.
of
So I'm like, you
course.
know what? Let's go through this.
Yes.
you know?
let
Well, that's
yourself
good that you didn't
process.
push it down and
Yeah.
try to compress it,
Yeah.
decompartmentalize. You know?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, let's go through this, and then maybe who knows? Eventually, a song that I found out was so not. I mean, it's always been great, but I just found out it's about grief. That Janet Jackson song, "Together Again."
Yes.
That song.
Yeah.
Mm.
I didn't know, but it's like such a dance floor anthem. But it's about grief and loss and like. So
Yeah.
maybe I'll make
Wow.
a fun song about grief.
I mean, I
know?
was gonna say
I
because
mean-
I think your music, like you explained, it's so fun, it's so high energy,
Yeah.
always encouraging you to move and dance around. Even when you're talking about things, I think that are not necessarily happy concepts all the
Yeah.
time, but I think that's like a really interesting experience as a listener because a
Yeah.
lot of times you get hooked onto like the beats and the vibe, and then people start
Mhm.
listening to the lyrics a little bit, and they're like you just had with your Janet Jackson song, like you
Yeah,
realize
I
it's
was like,
about
"Oh,
something a
I
lot
didn't
deeper.
realize." Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, I think, where I'm headed to lyrically
Yeah.
right now.
I had a similar kind of feeling listening to the album, which we'll talk about, but I
Mhm.
feel like you do have serious subject matter in some of your songs, but you don't take yourself so seriously. You know,
Yeah.
if I don't know if that's the right impression that I got, but
Yeah, that's
know.
what I definitely wanted to. I bought this book. I bought it because it had a cute cover, and then it ended up like
so you judged a
changing
book by
everything.
its cover.
I did.
That
I did.
situation.
one of those you just walk into a bookstore. You
Yeah.
have no intent to be
Oh, yeah.
there, but
Yes.
it's like it's a nice day. You just
Right.
want
Yeah.
to be around books.
Just wanna
Yeah.
look at
So I
something.
just picked it up. It's called "How to Write One Song" by Jeff Tweedy.
Oh,
So
okay.
literally, it breaks down. I didn't know this because I didn't open it. you know. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to LA. They, you know, the label and my publishers had booked like I think 3 weeks worth of sessions for me that year, and I just had a studio session like every day. And I was just like, you know what? Let's pick this up. And because it deconstructs that songwriting process, because there was a lot I went through during COVID, like, you know, with industry and business and, you know, just professional relationships falling apart.
Yeah.
Like I had a lot of anger and hurt inside of me, but I didn't want to go, you know, like ballad it up for like 3 weeks. I was like, no, that's not fun. So I wanted to write it in a like tongue-in-cheek type of, you know, like the opening track is about murder. But it's happy.
Yeah, it is. I like the tonally. It was a very nice to hear that kind of that juxtaposition. You know.
Yeah.
Like,
so I wanted to write about all that stuff that I was internally dealing with, because I have this like notes, you know, in the notes app. So I have this note that I've just been, if I'm in the middle of a conversation, much like this one, and I'm like, ooh, that could be a lyric, and I'll just write it down. So it got to a point where like a year and a half worth of the phrases in there were just anger. I want to watch you die.
Whoa.
So I was like, there's no other inspiration I can pull. I do not have positive experiences to write about, but I wanted to write them in a fun way.
Right.
So pain, but make it fun.
Right.
So
that's so interesting. So do you feel like you've always kind of gone to process even like the tough emotions like that? Do you always naturally gravitate towards it being like a fun version of your emotion or your experience?
When you ask it like that, my therapist, shout out Sharon, she did say that I use humor to deflect. So perhaps that is a situation
which
that
is
occurs in
so
my mind.
relatable.
Yeah, but I didn't know how to convert that to music. Like, you know, I can make a joke in the middle of a funeral, but, you know, I didn't know how to like sonically or audibly, I don't know, translate it.
Yeah.
So that book was really, really helpful.
Well, even on like your one of your more recent singles, like Karma, feels like there's like for me there was like a refreshing self-awareness in it.
Oh yeah.
And, but also
shout out Sharon.
Sharon, kind of a ghostwriter.
Yeah, maybe. Wait, don't say that. Then I gotta give her royalties.
No, that was completely a joke. Sharon, sorry about that. But yeah, I mean, it's just so fun to kind of go into that world with you, you know.
Yeah, it is a self-aware, because then when I started my sessions I started therapy in 2018, and when I started, I went because, you know, I had a succession of like I don't want to say failed relationships, but I'm like, hey, they're the problem. And then I realized maybe after a glitter bomb I sent, perhaps maybe I am the problem after a while. So I'm like, okay, let's go unpack all of this and see where, you know, I could be in the wrong. It's hard for me to admit I'm wrong.
Once again, growth.
Yes.
Good for you.
Look at that.
Good for you. And look how you've come out of it on the other side with a new song, a new music video. Yeah.
Well, you know, there is like an interesting concept where, you know, a lot of people experience PTSD.
Yeah.
But then there's this other experience that some people can have. I feel like I've had it. So, and maybe this might relate to you in some way, but like it's like post-traumatic growth. You know, where like you come out of something, but you utilize that feeling to kind of fuel you, you know, and examine yourself. And but I agree with you. Taking accountability, that's a huge thing.
Yeah,
it's a huge thing.
It's tough.
Yeah,
and it sounds like some of it is in the music too.
Yeah, because this guy, he got married and everything. And I'm like, okay, you kind of did this long list of stuff. It does make sense.
Yeah,
he's left and moved on to someone who's not crazy and a little unhinged. So, okay, let's accept that.
Yeah.
And let's write about it.
And all you can do now is laugh and enjoy the result of it, right?
Exactly.
So tell us a little bit about the music video, because I do love across the other music videos that I've seen of yours, like how conceptual you get into it and like visually it's so fun. So tell us about Karma's music video, the latest one.
So Karma's music video, this one I actually directed myself, because I had I loved that Christine and the Queen's music video, Tilted, the one with the blue background.
Not familiar.
But
I love
God,
her.
it's so good. It's just like simple choreo, and it's just cool. I don't know. It's just, it was the best music video I had seen in a while when I was watching it. So I always wanted to do something in that realm of just like simple choreo and just like, yeah. So I teamed up with this guy, Ibuka, shout out him. And we like basically brought this idea I had in my head to life. So it's choreo heavy. And then, you know, we had some scenes in there of like, you know, all these men that I had hurt in the past just losing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
behind me while I'm like, so, yeah, that's like the music video essentially. Choreo.
Yeah.
And, you know, toxic awareness.
I love that.
That is a cool, a lot of the themes you're exploring are kind of unique, you know, in that way.
Yeah.
Like unique, but then also extremely relatable.
Relatable, yeah.
Yeah.
In a way that I feel like sometimes artists don't explore that side
No.
because, you know, like you
it's
said,
tough.
It would be admitting, it would
Admitting
be
to
kind of
things.
like showing a little bit of, you know,
Yeah,
vulnerability.
yeah.
to be
Saying
honest.
it's like the opening line is I'm not always the good guy.
Right.
Which is true. It's like it's hard to admit that you're the bad guy in someone else's narrative, but the truth is, no matter how nice and sweet, like me, you probably hurt someone, maybe not even intentionally. You know, it might have just been your headspace in the moment.
Well, everyone is somebody's fool. You know, it's like you got to think like, you know, if you have this victim mentality, you know, that's understandable. But then you take a step back and then you look at a bigger
like,
picture,
okay.
and you're like, well, I probably. Someone thinks that of me, that I've done them wrong, you know, and I think that's when you make a breakthrough where you're like, all right, yeah, you know, I get it now, you know. But we all have stories we tell, right?
Yeah.
And did a lot of those stories kind of make itself on the record, you think, on this?
I tried to not hold back at all, which that's why it was tough, because I think I was hiding behind the mask of like, just that I want to say my party era. When I
we
was
all
just
have
like,
one, you know.
Where are we going? Where are we going tonight? Where's the ginger? You know? So that was me. Like, even in my friend group, that was my brand in the friend group of like, okay, who's a fun person we hit up is just always me.
Right.
So even that started to get exhausting because it was just like, after a while, people only wanted to like hang out if I was like on.
Right.
And I was going through a lot of stuff that was causing me to not be on. But, you know, I think it's that like really early 20s, whatchamacallit, I don't want to give out my age, Lord.
That energy, that era.
Yeah, that era.
Yes, exactly.
Of, like,
For some of us, it lasts way longer than it should.
That's true.
Yeah, so it started to, you know, if you're not on all the time and you have to go out and they expect you to be on and, you know, shot. But it's just, that's the brand you've created around yourself. Then it's just like, who am I if not the person who has the bottle of Jack Daniels by hand?
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
So I had to like really go within.
Yeah.
And like search for that. That was very tough. But shout out Sharon once again.
Sharon,
Sharon's
the real
the
MVP.
MVP.
Yeah, she
Literally.
is the
Did we
MVP.
just do a jinx there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
You owe her Coke.
No, I think it's so relatable because I feel like personally, you know, going through COVID times and also going through an era of mid-late 20s and changing your identity.
Who's
like
late 20s? Who?
Yeah, we'll
said
talk
that?
about the age later. You know, that's me
Obscure.
personally. But I feel like so many people go through this really difficult to talk about mental space of like, who am I if I am not this job or this identity or whatever? And obviously COVID, I think, helped a lot of people have a moment of like, okay, who are you really? Like, without all the other people, all the things that you're doing regularly, like what makes you happy?
Yeah,
what
exactly.
feeds your soul and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah,
I mean, I'm excited for people to hear the music because I think, again, people will relate. And I'm glad. It sounds like you have maybe with Sharon worked through some tough things that you yourself went through as well, right?
Yeah, because even everything, like you asked about my wigs, it does start with the wig. Same with the self-realization.
Yes.
The wig.
Yes.
Started it all. Because then I had almost all my my wigs were green.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
So that used to be like, I put that on, then I'm like, okay, what outfit goes with this bright neon green
Right.
wig? And that was like my personality based off of this wig. The wigs control my life. That is a breakthrough I just had.
Right now.
Right now.
Note to talk to Sharon about the wigs.
Yeah, I gotta write that down. So I was just like, wow, I don't feel as confident and as, you know, Like I used to put the green wigs on and it would just like awaken this like fierceness inside of me.
Sure.
Yeah.
But like maybe early last year, like actually not even, I'm lying, maybe 2 years ago, because I remember I shaved all my hair off.
Oh wow.
Also at a point while I was writing the album, my hair
Yeah.
was shaved. So I was just like, I don't like, I put the wigs on, I don't feel that energy surge when I put it on anymore. And then last year I think it just hit it, because then, you know, shows started picking back up and I started doing shows and I'm like, this is not, there's a disconnect between the wig and the person now. Right? Yeah, look at that.
Yeah, I like
I mean, I think it's so fascinating because I relate to, I mean, I'm not a wig person, but I very much relate to what you're saying.
Yeah, I
We're
love
just
my
going
wigs,
through that phase
as
of
we've
like,
established.
yeah, yes, where something that almost served as like your little body armor, you know, before, whether it's an actual physical wig or a job again.
Yeah.
And then that changes for you internally. And then you have to kind of figure out how to communicate that to people around you who've come to expect that from you and all that kind of stuff. So,
well, it's almost like it gives you an instant character, you know?
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
You think if you
I thought
strip
of it
down,
as a character.
right? Yeah. So if you take away the character, then you have to self-examine. But I mean, that's just all part of the process, right? Because you're like, oh, I'm not raging anymore like I used to. Maybe that's not what interested you anymore.
Yeah, it was kind of, I mean, whether we do like it or not, clothes do make the, in my case, woman. So, you know, when you walk into, like, I remember I was going to like I would always go to my doctor. I have this very bougie doctor. She's in like Upper Manhattan, you know. Shout out, and Sharon's also. So I know like when I go into the building and maybe I have like the green wig on, you know, I'm responded to in a certain way. So I remember one of the times when I had my first bombshell wig, all black. And I walked in there and they're like, oh, ma'am. I was referred to as ma'am.
oh, you're like,
Ooh,
who's
ma'am?
ma'am?
Oh,
Ma'am?
ma'am now. Okay.
Oh, okay. I would hate that if this was like, I don't know, 4 years ago, but I was like, oh, I like this.
You're
I like, and then I started wearing heels out more because I would wear my boots because I love to mosh. I used to love moshing in the middle. Just mosh
Again,
it away.
rave stompers.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. So now, like, you know, I would wear heels and then people treat me more like feminine. People want to help me downstairs. They don't even want me to open the door by myself. I'm like, ooh, this is great. There's female privilege. I didn't know this.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so it was like, it tied into the clothes and even the way I wanted to sound. Take it back to the music. How I wanted to like sound and how I wanted, because I hadn't even expressed like my female vulnerability on music before, because I used to, if I had to be very honest, I used to associate that with weakness. I don't know why, but I used to like associate, oh no, this has happened in my love life with like weakness, but there's like strength in that. There's strength in that I did not know about up until very recently. So I wanted to.
Great. Yeah.
Do you think you finally started to build a relationship with yourself?
Yeah.
I think that's where it comes from a lot of times.
Yeah,
you know?
because now I'm like the wig, I wanted to communicate a certain, like you said, image of like, okay, I don't care what people think about me, and you know.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, I'm so secure in myself right now that I'm just like, I don't need bright green hair to scream that for me as soon as I walk into the room.
No, it's like she said, it's like armor, you know, it's like you have this shield, but then when you're comfortable with what you have, you can pretty much wear anything, you know, and
exactly.
And any wig.
In any wig, exactly.
But I like that where you're starting to realize like it's a weird thing in society. You start kind of like dressing to be the person that you want to be or like to present, and then it kind of gets, you know, kind of there's like this confirmation bias where like people also are like giving it back to you. It's like a loop, and then you're like,
oh, I think as like as a artist, when you first even decide to pursue music, like there's a level of like almost like insanity in doing that in general, you know, like it's so hard. True. It's not an easy
We're all
thing.
insane.
Yeah. And I mean, like to be a creative professionally, you have to have a level of like, okay, I'm going to make it, I'm going to do this and really go for it. So I do feel like that's a common thing where people have to like attach to an image and really commit to that, prove to people that they are that person. And then once they get there, then you really enter this really nice era of being like, okay, this is now who I am. And you maybe shed that a little and actually get to be like the next level version of yourself as an artist. Yeah.
Because I was doing a lot of like collabs with DJs also, and you know, you guys have been to those, and you always see like, for first of all, there's not a lot of vocalists that they do invite during the set.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's always, learned this the hard way, it's always their set. You're the side attraction when you come on as a vocalist. So I really used to hate like being tossed to the side at those things. I'm like, hello. Do you not see this?
Do you
face?
see what?
You're like everything that people are singing along to.
Yeah,
that's me.
it's me.
Yeah.
Right.
So I remember I tried pink, I tried purple, but the day I tried green, the day I tried green, I was late to the show because people kept stopping me. They're like, "Oh my God, this green on your skin tone, it's so gorgeous." I'm like, "Ooh,
you're like, that's
you
so
unlocked something." Hello. So that's like how that came about, you know?
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, you know, me doing my own solo work and stuff, now it's just me on the stage. I don't need to like prove anything to anyone.
Yeah.
So
I'm curious though, because like just taking it back a bit, you know, because she mentioned rinse and repeat, and that was like a huge breakthrough moment for you.
yeah,
And that was pretty
Huge.
early. Was that early on in your career?
that was my
And-
first professional single.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah.
and then
Wow.
you're nominated for a Grammy.
Yeah.
Out the
on
gate.
your first professional.
Yeah, what was that
no
like for you?
pressure.
Yeah. I mean, just like to start
It
with
was a lot
that
of
as your
pressure.
entry, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot because I thought, oh, maybe if I remember, then I felt so stupid because I have this like when I was in college and all that, these group of like producers and songwriters that we would all like have this massive Skype call, like 10 of us,
Shout out
just
to Skype.
arguing
Yeah.
music all the time.
Yeah.
And I remember one big like debate we had was like, okay, when will you feel like you made it? And for me, I was like, when I get a Grammy nomination or I win a Grammy,
Oh my gosh.
it's over. I'm retiring that day. And then it happened, the first single. I was like, oh.
Uh-oh.
You're like,
okay, I gotta rethink
oh,
this.
eat my
I think I
words
set
right
the bar
now.
a little too
Yeah,
low.
yeah.
But that's kind
let's-
of how it happens sometimes,
Reel it
right?
back in.
You're
Wow.
like, oh, I gotta maybe an
Yeah.
Oscar is a little bit higher than that now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's like then, you know, thankfully I detached, like I don't need a Grammy nomination. It would be nice.
No, but it.
Shout out Recording Academy.
We're gonna have a list of shout outs at the end.
Yeah.
Just to
Yeah.
It
refresh.
would be nice, but like I
Yeah.
don't need that
Yeah.
anymore. Yeah.
But it was. I mean, obviously, also you realize that, you know, it's just one award. You know that
Yeah.
and you gotta then
Yeah.
to use that momentum to keep fueling what you're doing, right?
Is that what
Mhm.
that was like for you? Because I can imagine, obviously you're initially so excited to get that kind of recognition, so happy. And
Yeah.
then as an artist, in a way, I feel like I've heard people talk about, when you have one hit song and that really reaches a ton of people, doing the follow-up one feels really tough, right?
Yeah,
Did you
that was tough.
experience that
Oh,
after
yeah.
that?
Yeah, I definitely did. Because then also it was a collaboration.
Right.
So there was also a thing of like, there was an internal imposter syndrome era of like, oh, was it my nomination?
Mhm.
But then, I learned how to DJ over COVID also.
Oh, cool.
This COVID era was such a breakthrough.
Yeah.
for me.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Yes.
So I remember Michael Brunn, shout out him, he taught me how to DJ and he was just like, yeah, just use your songs. And that's when I started to realize, oh my God, my songs are really great for DJing because, there's not really a key to my voice, and it goes over, you could put my vocals on anything, it will sound good. And I was like, ooh,
Breakthrough.
okay.
Yeah.
So this is why all the DJs are always in my emails. All right. Okay, now I know what I have. Because before I
That's
used to
really
be like, oh
interesting.
no, maybe if I say no, I might not get this chance again. Try replicating it, see how it works.
No,
it's not gonna happen.
I love that.
That's
I mean,
amazing.
AI,
Yeah.
No-
does exist.
Well, I know, but it's a good point because the track "Rinse and Repeat," it's Riton is the collaborator. This is his song that you were featured on, but. I mean, I didn't know who the producer was. I knew the voice when I first heard it,
Yeah.
and that I think says there's some credit to be lent to that.
Yeah, because they try to put baby in a corner, but I was like, no.
Yeah.
So that Michael teaching me how to DJ and like really explaining that to me really made me see it in a completely different light, and it just gave me a refreshed sense of confidence. Of like, okay, I really am one of a kind. Like I'm one of one.
Yes.
You can't replicate this.
Yeah.
So then I started being a little stingy. So my favorite thing to say is no.
Now.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
You got to
love
get good at
saying
saying no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's such a great message too, because there is this whole, I think, highly undervalued, underappreciated, like unit of vocalists that really have made dance hits, which is
Mm-hmm.
a world that you came from. And I'm so glad to hear that you're kind of stepping into your ownership of like, you're more than just the dance music
Yeah.
vocalist, and also that your talent is what made many of the songs that you've been on. Because I
Mhm.
think there's a lot of that probably where like the vocalist almost gets forgotten in the place of the producer.
Yeah.
Because, you know, it's their track, they're playing it everywhere and around the world. Like you said, it's sometimes hard to bring the vocalist with them all the time.
Yeah.
But it's the words that everyone's singing along are their
Yeah.
words, you know, your guys'
Yeah.
words.
I mean, I didn't understand it at first because, you know, dance music as a space was very unfamiliar territory for me.
Mm.
Like, you know, I knew like the early 2000s house, but by the time, you have to understand, by the time Rinse and Repeat came out, the big genre for dance was, I think, dubstep.
Yep.
Like Skrillex dubstep.
Mhm.
So it was very unheard of for that, and very unlikely even for a song like that to like
Yeah.
blow up. So
It was ahead of its time, you know, in a way, because a
Yeah.
lot of songs have a similar sort of, a lot of popular songs now,
Yeah.
electronic music are
Yeah.
very similar, you know.
Yeah.
yeah. And I've noticed I am the blueprint.
You're like, all right, guys, I
Yeah,
see
you
you
should
swagger
own
jacking.
that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious because, you know, you're saying that you weren't really familiar with the dance music space even before that song came out. So how did you and Riton first come together, and why did that feel like the first song for you to come out? Or how did that happen, I guess?
Well, that was a very interesting collaboration and unlikely collaboration to happen because we met on Twitter, and then and then we made this song, and I was just like, I don't know how this song is gonna pick up or do anything. He put it in like a 1-hour DJ mix, and that
Right.
was that. I moved to Nigeria because I was like, I don't know if this song is gonna really do anything. I was like, maybe I'll get a few hundred plays on SoundCloud. That was my best
Couple.
case scenario.
Yeah.
1,000 plays.
Wow.
Yeah. But then it just went, and I to this day I cannot answer that question because I don't know how it happened.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But then, you know, seeing it now in hindsight and seeing, like you said, how it how like modern pop music and even modern vocal styles have been like influenced by that, because even with like syncs and TV shows and stuff like that, I've noticed,
Yeah.
I've really understood now the strength in my vocal and how
Yeah.
like you could put me on a classical track, I'll make it pop.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
you have a
people would
really
recognize it,
impressive,
yeah.
like, you know, record of getting a lot of your stuff synced, but also I'm sure you hear things and you're like, they used my record as probably as spec.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, that
yeah,
does
definitely
happen.
on the mood board.
There's
I actually
for
found out
sure
that
referenced.
actually does happen quite
Yeah.
a lot. I found
I'm
out
sure.
recently.
Well, it's less expensive.
Yeah. So I was like, ooh, okay, I want to be pissed, but that's exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, take us back a little bit more. So you're from Nigeria and Lagos. So was dance music growing up? What kind of music was in the household, and what were you influenced by?
It's funny, I just had this conversation
Yeah.
over the weekend. So my dad used to listen to a lot of like 80s R&B
Mm-hmm.
and a few pop records here and there.
Yeah.
So a lot of like Shalimar and
Right.
The Whispers, and he loved Michael Jackson
So,
and Sinatra.
Not to cut you off, but I was telling Valerie I'm really into, you know, I don't know if you've seen that like 80s boogie pop and disco from Nigeria is like having a moment, you know. It's Steve Monite.
Steve Monite.
Monite.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Monite. Yeah, like that song "Only You" is just like huge.
Yeah.
And Frank Ocean actually covered it at FYF.
Yeah, and Tame
And-
Impala,
and Tame Impala.
Antiopolis, London.
Yep. And so I was wondering, were you familiar with those records as well growing up?
I was literally just putting people onto it this weekend.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
beauty of YouTube. Like a lot of these older scenes are like having a resurgence.
and William
Yeah.
Onyebo and like all these people. So I didn't grow up listening to that. I actually got introduced to that when I started making dance music, and then you know they would go crate digging, and they're like, "Are you familiar with this stuff? Did you grow up on this?" I'm like, I don't even know who these people are. But then I guess you know, then it was like a great, like really, oh god, I want to cuss, mind fuck.
Go for it.
It was a mind fuck of recordings that just made their way to like I guess some British labels and stuff, so that's how they got put out. And I mean, in a way I'm kind of experiencing a similar situation because my music is not like massively famous back home, you know, but some people hear my stuff and they hear my accent and they're like, oh, wow, she's making this level of stuff, and she's Nigerian. How is it? Because, you know, right now Afrobeat is having a moment, but I don't make a lot of Afrobeat. On my album, we got a little sprinkle of Afrobeat here and there. But, you know, my dad grew up listening to the 80s disco R&B because he also lived in New York for a long time. So, and he loved to party.
You took that from him.
Yeah. So, and then my mom listens to a lot of like I want to say Yoruba high life. Yoruba is my language and my culture. And then I have an uncle who listens to like, oh, he just has the best music taste. And then my sister, we have like a 10-year age gap, so she listens to like 90s R&B. She loved the Spice Girls and Tupac growing up. So I have this cluster of just
Good
inspiration to pull from.
Yeah.
You know, so it depends on the wig. It depends on the wig and the day, you know, because it's funny you said the Only You track, because I literally just made a track that I heavily referenced the vocal like stacks of that. As I was like telling the engineer, I'm like, we want to make it sound like this, but also by like Mojo, that lady song, that lady. Yeah. So we want to marry the two, right? And then the baby is what I'm making.
That's great. Yeah. I think it's such an amazing time for that reason, that like those sort of obscure scenes are now having a moment, that like music doesn't exist in this chronology anymore. This like linear kind of, and like Kate Bush can go #1.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
An album that was released in '84 or something, you know.
Yeah, and I think because you know, I would always have these moments. Like unfortunately, I get in my head a lot of like, oh, I'm not making blah blah blah. It's not good enough, and then I hear it, and I'm like, this is pretty fire.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, and then you have to think about how, like with global music, like when Rinse and Repeat came out, you know, and compared to now, we're in a totally different musical landscape when it comes to global representation.
I definitely did not know that song was gonna do what it did, you know. So you never know. So you just, if anything, my career has taught me so far, it's just whatever feels natural in here, just lay it out on the mic.
I was gonna say,
inshallah, if it's supposed to pop off, it will.
Yeah.
If it's not.
And it's better to be making music that feels different than whatever is already out there, because that's what people are going to be so excited to find when they get there. And I think all the things we're talking about, where the timelessness of like older eras of music now being popular now, like TikTok has a lot to do with that. People just discovering old music and making it big again now. And then also the global discovery aspect, where I think a lot of people in like the Western side of music are now becoming really open to like, oh wow, look at all these other little subgenres that have existed for a long time, but are just having their moment on the mainstream main stage now.
It's kind of like when even Afrobeat blew up, because I remember when I was in college, I would like play it, and then people would be like, oh, what's that? And no one was like ever interested, you know. And then I think the trajectory of culture and it just became the right climate for Afrobeat to just you know.
It's amazing. I mean, you have someone like Black Coffee headlining Sahara Tent, you know. It's like you would think, wow, it's interesting how this just how like people
Rema
have evolved.
With the
We've evolved.
number 3 song in the U.S. Like that's insane to me. I remember I would get so excited if I saw a car driving by and it was playing Nigerian. I was like, that's Nigerian song.
Yeah.
But now it's like I don't. Which I realize is kind of like crazy that I don't even get that feeling anymore, because it's so common. Like they were playing "Calm Down" on the way here, like. It's like, okay, no big deal. But it is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
That was not even up to 10 years ago. It was, it's just...
It's interesting, too, because you see people like Major Lazer. I know you've collaborated with Diplo, and like people who are like, oh, Major Lazer's always had a bit of a pulse on like the global trends that they introduce in their music that they bring to, you know, maybe more of a wider audience. A lot of it was kind of with like reggaeton and stuff. But now, like they're playing a festival coming up at Portola Music Festival. They're going back to back with major league DJs.
Oh yeah,
you know, and like a lot of their stuff is just collaborating with them. You know, and that's like that's a big. I wouldn't even say cosign. It's just like a big moment. You know.
Because I mean, obviously the internet is changing things, and you know, platforms like Instagram, TikTok. Now the lens, I don't know if that's the word, but like the vision is not just very linear anymore.
Yeah.
It's like you're consuming data and memes and cultures from like
Yes.
all over the world now.
Yes. Yeah.
Where do you get a lot of your inspiration? Or like, where do you find a lot of things these days in media and stuff?
Wait, visually or?
Yeah, I mean, well, like, yeah, I guess visually, but also like in music too, you know.
Yeah.
in-
Depends on the day and the wig.
And the wig.
Because honestly, sometimes, and I have mad respect and appreciation for producers who can translate the scramble that is my brain and just help me lay it out on a sonic, wave. Because sometimes I'm like, I want it to sound like this, but with the elements of this, like even the opening track on my album, I remember I went into the studio and I played a Fuji song. Fuji is like, it's a real like deep genre of like African / Nigerian music. It's like very specific to my culture.
Yeah.
Like, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ashake.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, he's great. So it's like the song that I remember growing up with, right? And I played it to them, and then I also played them this like Vampire Weekend track, and then
Love that combo.
and then Jamiroquai, and then we just married everything, and it became
awesome.
what is the opening track. And I'm so happy with it, because even like they took a voice note I was playing with, like in the back while they were producing, they're like, that voice note you just did, send it to us, and that's the chorus.
Oh my God.
I'm like, just like, what?
Yes.
Yeah, so that makes, and then it's about murder, but it's happy. So it's just, it depends on just I had to like make a playlist. I think I'll make the playlist public. That actually is a good idea. I gotta write down. Of like, I just made an inspiration playlist of like songs that I wish I made. And it's just songs from all sorts of timelines, cultures, all that yada yada, just in one. And I would always take that to sessions, because sometimes I get in there, they've already pre-made something, and it's always and I'm like, no, I want to talk about my feelings. Which, I mean, you can talk about your feelings with that, but it's just like
it's limiting.
It gets tiring after a while.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I want to expand the sonic. I want with the music I make to reflect the music I listen to. You know?
I love that. That's like the blend. Just even that one example, the blend of different inspirations you pull from. Because I think that's the beauty of seeing different artists coming from regions that we haven't seen really on in a mainstream way before, because it's like all the inspirations you're pulling from, like the song that you grew up on, like we've never heard that, and I think it's gonna be so fun to hear more of that.
12-minute song.
I love that. Do you spend a lot of time still in Lagos going back?
100%. I would lose my mind if I didn't.
I love that,
because my family is there, a bunch of my friends are there, and I did spend a lot of time in New York, especially I was there during COVID, so that wasn't fun on the mental, but maybe that's what caused all this growth.
A lot of apartment time. Did you have did you set up your apartment in a way that made it feel even more because I know obviously New York has like a vibe, a reputation for being very like confining
it wasn't
and small.
fun, because even my window just stares right at some other building's brick wall.
Oh gosh.
So it's just like I can hear the street, but I can't even see it.
Oh gosh.
Right.
So I can't see any activity. I just saw the next door neighbor and her cat. So that was a great fun.
So no
game
wonder
to
you're like,
play.
I have to go back to Lagos all the time.
So I need to be there to just even like, it's crazy because when I left, there was like a dance scene, but it was very limited to like expats and like a handful of Nigerians who were interested, and it would be like these 200 cap venues, but now I go home, they're doing like entire warehouses of shows and raves, and like it's just it's been such a crazy evolution. And I also didn't even realize how much of a hand I've had in that. So like I definitely want to work with like producers from there more, because it's just crazy how big the scene has gotten.
Yeah. Well, I'd love to hear more about you saying you didn't realize how much of a hand you've had in it.
Yeah.
What did you realize?
Because I mean, now I know from, I go to the raves and stuff now, and then people come up to me and they're like, oh no, oh my God, I can't believe it's you.
Oh, they recognize you
me?
now. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And then, you know, because when I was making the earlier stuff, like, you know, the rinse and repeats, the gingers, all that type of stuff, no one was really doing that. Like, I remember they were comparing me to Dr. Alban. Do you know Dr. Alban? You know that, like, real ravey techno song that It's My Life?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a
yeah.
Nigerian doctor that then became a vocalist.
What?
yeah.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah, so people were comparing me to that, you know, and I was just like, whoa, that's not at all the
Quite the
trajectory that
comparison.
I thought my career
Yeah.
would start off with.
Yeah.
But it was cool because, you know, it was a nice fresh slate because
Yeah.
it was, I listened to a lot of Nigerian rap and pop growing up, so I mean, I know I mentioned my big sister, my uncle, but I also had my own music
Yeah.
taste growing up that I discovered. And it was just the way I was blending things. Like, no one had heard that before.
Yeah.
You know, it was even kind of tough for me to write because I was like, I don't know if this sounds stupid or if it sounds great because
You've never heard it.
I've
seen
never heard it before.
Yeah.
So now there's that, and I've been saying this a lot because I feel like I've carried the scars of all this stuff. Because I always say people talk about, oh, shatter the glass ceiling, but they don't talk about the scars you get when you do that, right? So now there's like this generation of, I want to say ravers and like, you know, party goers who now they have that. They have Kah-Lo, me. Hi.
Hey.
That they've listened to and they're like, oh wow, you can blend
Yes.
Nigerian sounds and Nigerianisms into dance music.
Yeah.
You know, and it will sound dope as fuck.
Yeah.
You know, so it's very, very, very interesting to see what the scene has become.
Yeah.
And like
sure.
how they're using the stuff I've made and like, you know, like you said, even Black Coffee. And because even Black Coffee, he was like, I remember he was on we had this TV station called Channel O. Like he would just DJ there and people would like always, you know, go past it, at least in Nigeria. I'm sure he was massive in South Africa. And they were like, oh, what is this weird music? Because it's still heavily believed that dance music is not Nigerian or it has no business being Nigerian, really.
Interesting.
There's always a debate, even because there's like, oh, who is the first Nigerian, the Nigerians who have Grammys? So it's always a debate every February of like, oh, Kah-Lo doesn't count. I'm like, I do.
What? You're like, according to who?
Yeah, because it's like because of the type of music I make, there's like this misconception that I'm not Nigerian or I wasn't raised there, but I was, you know, and I go back all the time. I speak my language pretty fluently and all that type of stuff. It's just I listen to so much that I can't limit myself to one genre.
That's such an interesting thing to carry.
Yeah, it's like a weird side effect of success outside of the
because I feel like it's one thing I talk about this all the time with like my family of just being like a second generation person, you know, you're living in America, you know, you feel very culturally attached to a place that's far away, but then at the same time you go back to that place and then you don't feel fully Nigerian because you are splitting your time and they don't even like say that you are a Nigerian artist sometimes, which is crazy. You know?
It's
such a weird thing to
it's
balance.
Definitely interesting because even like when the Rinse and Repeat was taking off, I was working in Nigeria actually. Like my first plaque got delivered to my office. Like you know, me and my coworkers opened it up. So it was it's definitely just been a very interesting. But then I think now because I've been spending a lot of time back home, and I'm starting to realize the impact all these actions have made. Like
well, it's also like being a trailblazer. It's kind of hard. You know, you have to go through a lot of maybe, you know, adversity for then the person maybe 5 years from now is going to have less, you know, hurdles to go through in that way to break down cultural misconceptions. And,
I mean, I think you said it beautifully with the scars. Nobody talks about the scars.
Yeah, they're like, shatter the glass ceiling, but you're going to hurt yourself, honey.
But I think, what Chad was saying is true. It's like when you already are starting to see the effects of it. Yeah. So it's just a matter of time before everyone else starts to realize, like, oh, yes.
It's definitely
you are a Nigerian trailblazing artist.
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting space to be in.
Yeah.
Well, we're also
sure.
going to be entering an era where Africa is going to have a massive cultural moment. It's coming
Yeah.
soon because, like,
Yeah,
it really
even
just had
more
to do with
so.
technology.
Basically.
It had to do with technology.
Mhm.
But I'm saying even more than now, just mainly
Mhm.
because a lot more people in Africa are having access to the internet while they're roaming on their phones, right? Which is like
Yeah.
that's the big breakthrough a lot of times.
It's
I think.
yeah, for
Because
sure.
I just know this because my friend who worked at a major label said that they invested a lot of effort into getting streaming like very, very prevalent in those regions.
Yeah,
and
because
in India
Spotify
and
just
places.
launched.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
You know, because for the longest time, I was the most streamed Nigerian female artist
Wow.
on Spotify. But it was also because, you know, there wasn't Spotify in
Mhm.
Nigeria.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
the bulk of my streams were coming, I think the bulk of my streams come from here and Australia. Yeah.
Shout out Australia.
Shout out Australia.
Yeah.
So whatchamacallit, it was definitely a very interesting, because when people, like, because, you know, I do what I does, you know, I
Yeah,
just
yeah.
show up to places. Yeah, I'll put the shades on, you know, but people don't expect us, because sometimes even maybe I'll be at the gym or I'm having lunch and they're like, oh, so what do you do for a living? And I say, oh, I make music, but because I'm not like the Whiz Kids and the Davidos, they think I'm
Yeah.
like a struggling musician who
Mhm.
hasn't done anything yet. They're like, you know, it's such a tough industry to break into, and they start trying to give me all this
You're like,
advice. I'm
okay.
like, yeah, I'm
Thank
sure.
you.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know what? Let me support you. Let me check. Let me get. And then they see my stats,
like,
and
oh.
they're like, oh,
Oh.
and they're like, why are you not?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, because y'all don't want to book me.
I love that. I love that switch. You love that switch up. You know?
Yeah, I
It's a
do
nice-
love it.
it's a-
I love to just sit there and just watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're
Yeah,
like,
pull
you're
it
just
up.
late.
I'll wait.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna do some-
That's my little likes for the.
Oh my
But it's
gosh.
going to be exciting this next era when we're going to see, I think, a lot more global cultures kind of having really much more presence in the
Yeah.
zeitgeist when they have access to, like you're saying, like Spotify. That's a game changer, you know,
Mhm.
for
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I think what you were saying too about going back and seeing that now there's many more shows, many more people putting on the shows,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and people recognizing you. Because I think that's the stuff that allows younger kids to be like, oh, wait, I've always thought I wanted to try that, but now I can actually
Mhm.
see that there's a path to do it.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
crazy, you know, because then they're also figuring out, because one of the reasons why I left, like when my career started taking off, was because like I would be talking to people about publishing splits. They wouldn't even know what I was talking
Oh,
about,
yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
So it's crazy because, you know, like you said, now like there's a Sony office in Nigeria, there's like Spotify, there's like all this stuff, and now it's becoming such a massive industry.
Mhm.
That you can actually make money from without like having to rely so heavily on shows.
Mhm.
Right.
So it's definitely been an interesting change. So I'm opening a studio back home
Oh, nice.
right now because, like, you know, we don't have that culture of
Yeah.
going to studios yet, but I think
Yeah.
it's coming. So
That's
Oh, that's
great.
I
amazing.
shouldn't say
What tell
that.
us more about the studio? When is it opening? And
I don't have a when yet.
okay,
It's
But
in
I
the
do
works.
have it. We're working on it.
Yeah.
Yay.
I'm trying to make it cute so people can take selfies too.
Good. Yes, important.
Yeah, very important. So, you know, because I also noticed with women, like, because, you know, all these artists coming up to me, they're like, oh, you do this and you do that. And they're like asking me, oh, how do I do this? And how do I,
Yeah.
and a lot of the women, especially, because, you know, a lot of the studios are in like guys' houses and
Mhm.
like, you know, or they end up like recording at hotel rooms at like
Right. Yeah.
midnight and stuff. And it's not really the most
Comfortable.
comfortable environment. Yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
Comfortable environment. And
I mean, you were in a dorm closet, right? So
Yeah,
you're like,
yeah.
hey.
But at least that was her dorm closet.
yeah,
you
it's
know?
my dorm closet.
Yeah.
But it's just like if you go into a room full of men,
Right.
Right.
you know, that you've basically never met
No,
for the
I mean,
most
it's-
part.
Yeah.
And it's just little old you, and then it's like, so
It's huge. Yeah.
yeah, because then, I mean, at my big age, my parents are still like, why are you going to record at 1 a.m.? But it's
Yeah.
just like because of the climate, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's how the culture is back home.
That's so
when
important,
studio sessions
yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
Well, you should just
So-
let them know that producers are vampires. They don't go to bed until the sun is up.
Yeah, so, but in Nigeria, it's like, I started to put myself in the shoes of my parents, and I started realizing, okay, I understand why they would freak out
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yes.
that I've gone to this random guy's house
Yeah.
at 1
Totally
Especially
valid.
as like a vulnerable artist when you're so excited for any opportunity. Like that's a
Yeah.
really vulnerable position to be in.
Yeah, and a lot of
So,
them,
yeah.
especially the women coming up, they express concern about
Yeah.
that because they're just like, they don't want to get harassed or
Yes.
assaulted or like,
Yeah.
made
Just be
fun of.
safe.
Yeah, so
Having
I
that
was-
safe space that you could create for
yeah,
them, you know?
so safety is the number one priority of the studio. Like I want it to have all the elements of like just comfort and then you can just focus on creating.
Yes.
You know?
And looking cute in the
And
studio.
looking cute. So
No,
that's
I-
why the selfies are
Yes.
very important.
I mean, having like a
Yeah.
women-owned and led studio like that, I can imagine it's
Yeah.
gonna be a game changer. That's
yeah,
amazing.
so I definitely want to make that a thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Amazing. There's
That's
so much
great.
exciting stuff coming up for you. And also we haven't even said by name your new album, Pain Pleasure, will be out
Pain
this
Pleasure.
summer.
Pain Pleasure.
Yeah.
That's what it's called. Ooh, I said that out loud.
Woo!
I know. Does it feel
Hey.
official? Feels
Yeah,
feels
it
real
feels
now,
official
right?
on the mic. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's
And
great.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can't wait. We've already seen a couple amazing singles and the music
Mhm.
videos that have come out.
Yeah.
I think it's really clear at this point that there's a very unique, powerful, interesting message and inspirations
Yeah.
that you've had
Yeah.
building this album.
Yeah.
So
The
very
first
excited.
half is, expressing a lot of pain and but in a positive way.
Yes.
In a positive environment. Then we got an interlude. And then we got the euphoric, more, I want to say party. Because, as much as I don't party all the time anymore, I do like to get it in a little.
Yeah, you
You
like
have
to
the,
get
you have
after
the
it.
spirit of party within you, I think.
Yes,
You'll always
I
have the
do.
spirit of party.
I-
within
Well,
you.
and
think
also
I
so
will.
many different types of electronic music are represented, or music in general in the
Yeah.
production, and
Yeah.
that was really cool. I'm sure
Yeah.
it lends credit to your diverse taste.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really. So that's why I think I'm gonna make that playlist public because it really helped me explore. I'm like, okay, what songs do I wish? And shout out that book too, the How to Write One Song, because I feel like sometimes I had lyrics that maybe I would write them down even in that notes, but I was afraid to put them to melody because I thought they would sound ridiculous or I thought they would sound weird. But now I'm just like, okay, I feel this, and what,
I love it.
Yeah.
It seemed like you had a lot of fun. Sorry,
Yeah.
it just wants. I had a lot of fun listening to it, so I can only imagine.
Hey,
I think
yeah,
that's what
did
I've
have a
always
lot of fun.
appreciated about all of the music I've heard from you so far. And now hearing about, the backstory and how you think about the tough things you've been through and experienced, I'm even more impressed that all of the music feels so fun.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think there's only one slow song on the entire project, and even that it's still like vibey.
You're just giving the ravers a moment to like breathe,
Yeah, it has room to breathe, because then that's another thing I noticed in my sets, like, oh my god, it's just 120 and above the whole time. I get exhausted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, we need some in between songs.
Well, great. I can't wait. I need to see you in person to do this show, because
Oh,
now that
yeah,
I've heard
you
the
will.
music,
And
I
then
can only
I-
imagine the vibes.
I have, and depending, I don't know when this
Yeah.
airs, but I have like a series that I want to do around the album. Like the first one is gonna be here, but I don't know if it's gonna be before this comes out. The first one is gonna be here, and I'm gonna do LA, New York, London, Lagos, just all the cities that I think have helped shape my sound. So I just want to like refamiliarize myself, and I want people there to refamiliarize themselves with me, and let's just have a great time.
That's a great way to approach a tour. I think that'll
Yeah.
be great for both you and the fans.
Yeah, it wouldn't even be like a tour, kind of like I want to call it, I don't know if it's a rave or a listening. I don't
Experience.
A party.
know. And
Maybe
an
it's just a party.
experience. yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely want to do those and just connect on that level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Maybe we'll call it the pain and pleasure experience.
I
Yeah.
like it.
I
That
love
sounds
it.
like a good party.
Yeah.
To be totally honest.
It feels like you're in like your Kill Bill era right now.
Oh yeah. You saw
Oh
the
my God.
video for fun.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah. Very much so. Well,
Play killed a guy with a bowling ball. That was nice. Yeah.
it was so fun to watch the whole time.
Yeah,
I was smiling the whole time.
I terrified the director. He was like, "Oh," I was like, "Don't worry, it'll be campy."
Yeah. Yeah. I'll smile on my face the whole time.
That's the perfect way to describe it. Well, Kah-Lo, thank you so much for stopping by.
Absolutely.
It was so lovely to learn all this about you, and I'm excited for Pain and Pleasure.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thank you for coming.
I'm very excited. I'm excited for you guys to experience the experience.
Yes, that too. It's going to be amazing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Take care.
we did it.
We did it.